Her fingers brushed against a velvet-lined box. It sat upon a dusty shelf in the attic. Curiosity sparked within her. She lifted the lid. Inside, nestled on faded silk, lay an antique pocket watch. Its silver casing was etched with intricate designs. A single raven, its eye a gleaming ruby, adorned the back. Time had dulled the metal, but it couldn't diminish the watch's strange allure. Eldoria felt an inexplicable pull towards it. She traced the raven's outline. A shiver danced down her spine. She knew with sudden certainty that this was no ordinary artifact. The watch felt warm beneath her touch, as if imbued with a life of its own. She turned it over, her fingers tracing the delicate hands frozen in time. They pointed to 11:15. The same time, she realized with a jolt, that she had always seen on the grandfather clock downstairs. The one that hadn't chimed in over a century. The same clock that had belonged to her mysterious great-grandmother, Eleanor. Eldoria's breath hitched. Eleanor, who had vanished without a trace. Eleanor, whose stories were woven into Ravenswood's very fabric. Could this watch be the key to unraveling her ancestors' disappearance? The thought sent a tremor of excitement through her. She clutched the watch to her chest, its cold metal a stark contrast against her suddenly heated skin. She knew, with growing certainty, that she held more than just a timepiece. She held a secret. Ravenswood was still. The old house stood sentinel against the march of time. Eldoria, a young woman with eyes the color of the stormy sea, wandered its shadowy halls. The air hung heavy with the scent of ancient wood and forgotten dreams. She paused before an antique mirror, her reflection staring back with a mix of wonder and trepidation. Dust motes danced in the sunlight streaming through the attic window, casting an ethereal glow. Her hand trailed along the banister, feeling the grooves worn smooth by generations. Portraits of her ancestors lined the walls, their eyes seeming to follow her every move. Determination set in her features. She was resolved to uncover the secrets of her lineage. She remembered the old family journal she had found, its pages filled with cryptic notes and sketches. Eldoria had spent countless nights poring over its contents, trying to decipher its meaning. By candlelight, she had traced the lines of her great-grandmother's handwriting, feeling a connection across time. She often found herself lost in thought, wondering about the life Eleanor had led. The watch in her hand felt like a tangible link to the past, a piece of the puzzle she was determined to solve. Her eyes filled with resolve. She would not rest until she had uncovered the truth. As dusk settled over Ravenswood, the estate seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the secrets to be revealed. Eldoria stood at the window, gazing out into the night, feeling the weight of history pressing down on her. The moonlight cast a silvery glow on the watch, making the raven's ruby eye glint eerily. Her silhouette was bathed in the soft light, a figure caught between the past and the present. With a determined stride, she made her way to the library, where the answers she sought might be found. The library was a treasure trove of knowledge, its shelves lined with books that held the secrets of generations. Eldoria searched through the volumes, her fingers brushing over the spines, hoping to find a clue. She pulled out a dusty old book, its cover worn and pages yellowed with age. As she opened it, the scent of aged paper filled the air, and she began to read. Her eyes widened as she realized the significance of what she was reading. She placed a hand on her heart, overwhelmed by the discovery. She knew she was on the right path. The answers were within her reach. As dawn broke over Ravenswood, Eldoria felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey to uncover the truth had just begun. The air crackled with anticipation. Eldoria sat at the old oak table in the kitchen. Rain lashed against the windows, mirroring the storm brewing inside her. She clutched a faded leather-bound journal in her hand.
Eleanor was a woman ahead of her time. Her grandmother's voice was a low thrum, vibrating with unshed tears and unspoken truths. She spoke of things she couldn't possibly know, places she couldn't have seen. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She claimed she could travel through time.
Eldoria's heart pounded. The watch, the clock, her grandmother's words. It all pointed to something impossible yet undeniably real. She opened the journal, its brittle pages filled with elegant, spidery handwriting. As she read, the past unfurled before her eyes. Eleanor's words painted vivid pictures of a hidden world, a magical realm called Eldoria. Eldoria, a land where time flowed differently, where ancient forests whispered secrets on the wind and mythical creatures roamed free. A shiver danced down Eldora's spine. She could almost feel the cool mist on her skin, smell the damp earth, and hear the rustle of unseen wings. She was captivated. Her grandmother spoke of a hidden portal, a gateway to Eldoria, accessible only with the Raven Watch. A family heirloom, passed down through generations. The key, she said, to unlocking their family's deepest secrets. The watch Eldora now held. The air vibrated with unseen energy. Eldora stood before a towering oak, its branches reaching towards the heavens like gnarled fingers. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. Her fingers tightened around the antique watch. This was the place, the spot her great-grandmother had described in vivid detail. She held the watch aloft, its ruby eye glinting in the moonlight. Her heart pounded against her ribs, a drumbeat of anticipation. As the old grandfather clock in the distance chimed 11 times, she twisted the watch's crown. The world dissolved around her. She was pulled into a swirling vortex of colors and light. The air crackled with energy. She felt a sense of weightlessness, of being untethered from reality itself. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the swirling stopped. She landed on soft grass, the scent of wildflowers heavy in the air. Gone was the familiar forest. In its place stood a landscape bathed in the soft glow of a double moon. Towering trees, their trunks wider than any she had ever seen, reached towards the sky. Strange flowers bloomed in a riot of color. The air buzzed with the hum of insects she couldn't identify. She had stepped into another world, a world both beautiful and terrifying in its unfamiliarity, a world whispered about in legends, a world she had, until this moment, dismissed as mere fantasy. But Eldoria was real, and she was here. The portal shimmered in the clearing. It was a swirling vortex of colors, a kaleidoscope of light and energy. It pulsed with a life of its own, beckoning her closer. Eldora's heart pounded as she took a step towards it. Fear warred with an insatiable curiosity. She had never been one to shy away from the unknown. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the swirling mass. The world dissolved around her. She felt a sense of weightlessness, of being untethered from reality. Time seemed to bend and twist, the past, present, and future blending into one dizzying kaleidoscope. Then, just as suddenly, she was standing on solid ground. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the scent of pine and wildflowers. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the surrounding trees. She looked around in awe. Before her stretched a vast and ancient forest. Sunlight streamed through the canopy, dappling the forest floor in shifting patterns of light and shadow. Strange birds with iridescent feathers flitted through the trees, their calls like music to her ears. She felt a sense of peace here, a connection to something ancient and powerful. This was Eldoria, a land untouched by time, where magic still thrived. A land of wonder and beauty, but also of danger and mystery. Eldora took a deep breath, her senses alive with the sights and sounds of this magical realm. Eldoria whispered to her. The air hummed with unseen energy. Eldora felt it in every fiber of her being. As she ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, she found herself drawn to places of power. Ancient stone circles, their weathered surfaces etched with strange symbols. Waterfalls that cascaded into crystal-clear pools, their waters said to hold healing properties. And always, the whispers. She saw glimpses of the past, shadows of people who had walked these paths before her. Their laughter echoed through the trees. She felt their joys, their sorrows. She was connected to them not by blood, but by something far more profound. The threads of time woven together in this mystical realm. One day, she stumbled upon a hidden glade, a circle of ancient stones bathed in ethereal light. As she stepped within the circle, the air shimmered. She saw a vision of a young woman who looked remarkably like herself. She had the same fiery hair, the same piercing blue eyes, but her face was etched with worry, her shoulders burdened with a weight beyond her years. Eldora knew instinctively who this was, Eleanor, her great-grandmother. She watched as Eleanor performed a ritual, her voice echoing through the glade as she spoke in a language Eldora didn't understand, but somehow she comprehended. She was pleading for help, for guidance. As quickly as it had appeared, the vision faded, leaving Eldora with a profound sense of purpose. She was meant to be here. She was meant to unravel the mysteries of the past, and perhaps save her family from a forgotten threat. The path was treacherous. overgrown with vines and shrouded in mist. But Alara pressed on, guided by intuition and the whispers of the forest. She was determined to find the lost city of Eldoria, the heart of this magical realm, and the key to her family's past. Legends spoke of a hidden city nestled amongst the mountains where time held no sway, a place of immense power and ancient knowledge. After what felt like days, she emerged from the forest, her breath hitched in awe. Before her, nestled in a valley surrounded by towering peaks, lay a city of breathtaking beauty. Buildings crafted from white stone shimmered in the sunlight. Waterfalls cascaded down the mountainside, feeding a network of canals that crisscrossed the city. Graceful bridges arched over the water, connecting bustling squares and vibrant marketplaces. She had found it, the lost city of Eldoria. But as she drew closer, she realized that something was wrong. An unnatural silence hung over the city. The streets were deserted, the buildings seemingly abandoned. A sense of foreboding washed over her. Where was everyone? What had happened to this once thriving civilization? She pushed open the heavy wooden doors of what appeared to be a grand library. Dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight that slanted through the windows. She could almost hear the echo of forgotten voices, the rustle of parchment scrolls. This place held secrets. She could feel it in her bones, and she was determined to uncover them. The library was a treasure trove. Shelves upon shelves lined the walls, stacked with ancient tomes bound in leather and studded with precious stones. Alara ran her fingers over their spines, feeling the weight of centuries-old knowledge. She felt a sense of awe, of being in the presence of something sacred. This was more than just a library. It was a repository of history, a testament to a civilization lost to time. As she delved deeper into the library's collection, she began to piece together the story of Eldoria's downfall. A prophecy, foretold by the stars, of a great darkness that would consume the land. A darkness that would extinguish the light of magic and plunge Eldoria into chaos. She discovered that her own ancestors had played a pivotal role in Eldoria's history. They were the guardians, sworn to protect the balance of magic and time. They were the bridge between the human world and the magical realm. They were the keepers of the secrets, the protectors of the portal. But the prophecy had come to pass. The darkness had descended, corrupting the very fabric of Eldoria. The Guardians had fought bravely, but they were outnumbered, outmatched. One by one they fell, until only a handful remained. Alara's heart ached as she read of their sacrifice. She felt a profound connection to these people, to her legacy. She knew that she had to do everything in her power to honor their memory and prevent the prophecy from repeating itself. The prophecy was more than just words. It was a tangible presence in Eldoria. I could feel its weight upon my shoulders, its darkness threatening to consume me. It spoke of a chosen one, a descendant of the Guardians, who would rise to face the encroaching shadows, one who would hold the fate of Eldoria in their hands. I discovered that the darkness wasn't just a force of nature. It was sentient, malevolent. It fed on fear and despair, growing stronger with each passing moment. And it was drawn to the portal, to the connection between Eldoria and the human world. If it were to break through, it would wreak havoc on both realms. The prophecy stated that only the combined power of the Guardians, their bloodline imbued with the very essence of Eldoria, could banish the darkness. But the Guardians were gone, their lineage seemingly extinguished. All except for me. I am the last of my line, the last hope for Eldoria. The weight of this responsibility settled upon me, heavy and inescapable. But I wouldn't shy away from my destiny. I would embrace it. I would fight for Eldoria, for my family, for the future itself. The journal entries hinted at a way to defeat the darkness. A ritual, ancient and powerful, that could banish the shadows back to the abyss from whence they came. But the ritual was dangerous, fraught with risk. The Guardian's Oath. The air crackled with anticipation. Alara stood before the ancient altar. Its surface was etched with runes that pulsed with a faint ethereal light. She was clad in simple white robes, her hair unbound, cascading down her back like a river of fire. The weight of the Raven Watch, cold against her skin, served as a constant reminder of her purpose. She was ready to take the Guardian's Oath, to pledge her life to the protection of Eldoria, to embrace her destiny as the last of her line. She raised her chin, her gaze unwavering as she recited the ancient words passed down through generations. The words resonated through the chamber, imbued with the power of her ancestors. She could feel their presence surrounding her, their strength flowing into her. The air grew heavy with magic, swirling around her like a living thing. As she spoke the final words of the oath, a surge of power coursed through her. She felt a connection to Eldoria so profound, so visceral, that it brought tears to her eyes. She was no longer just a visitor in this magical realm. She was a part of it, its protector, its champion. The raven on the watch seemed to come alive, its ruby eye glowing brighter than before. It was a symbol of her heritage, of the power that flowed within her veins. She was the last guardian, and she would not fail. A race against time. The darkness was closing in. Elara could feel its icy grip tightening around Eldoria, choking the life out of this magical realm. She had to act fast. The ritual had to be performed before the darkness consumed everything. She gathered the necessary components. A lock of her own hair, a symbol of her lineage. A petal from the moonflower, a rare and luminous bloom that only grew in the heart of the forest. And a single teardrop, shed for the fallen, a testament to her determination. With each passing moment, the air grew colder, the shadows deeper. She could hear the whispers of the darkness, taunting her, tempting her to despair. But she wouldn't give in. She would not let fear cripple her. She reached the heart of the ancient stone circle, the focal point of Eldoria's power. The air crackled with energy as she began the ritual. Her voice rang out strong and clear as she chanted the ancient words. The runes on the altar glowed brighter, pulsing in sync with her heartbeat. She could feel the darkness resisting, fighting against her with a force that threatened to overwhelm her. But she held firm, her will unbreakable. She poured every ounce of her being into the ritual, her love for Eldoria, her grief for the fallen, her hope for the future. Farewell, Eldoria. Light exploded from the altar, blinding in its intensity. The darkness recoiled, hissing like a wounded beast. Elara didn't hesitate. She poured every ounce of her strength, her very essence, into the burgeoning light. The world around her dissolved in a maelstrom of energy. She felt herself being pulled back, away from Eldoria. She caught one last glimpse of the magical realm, its beauty restored, bathed in the warm glow of the rising sun. Then, everything went dark. She woke with a gasp, her heart pounding. She was back in Ravenswood, in the attic room where it had all begun. The antique watch lay on her chest, warm to the touch. Sunlight streamed through the dusty window, painting the room in a golden hue. The world seemed strangely quiet still. She could almost hear the echo of Eldoria's magic. A faint whisper on the wind, but it was fading, like a dream upon waking. She sat there for a long moment, trying to catch her breath, to make sense of what had transpired. Had it all been real? Or had she simply imagined the whole thing? She looked down at the antique watch, at the raven with its ruby eye. It pulsed faintly, a reassuring beat against her skin. No, it hadn't been a dream. Eldoria was real, and she had saved it. Time's revelation. A profound sense of peace settled over Elara. The journey had changed her, reshaped her understanding of family and time. She carried the echoes of Eldoria within her, a secret whispered on the wind, a legacy etched upon her soul. She returned to her life, forever altered by her experience. The antique watch remained her constant companion, a tangible reminder of the adventure that had tested her courage and revealed the depths of her own strength. She knew that her connection to Eldoria was far from over. The portal remained open, a shimmering gateway to a realm of wonder and magic, and she, the last guardian, would be ready to answer its call. She looked at her family with new eyes, their stories no longer just tales whispered around the fireplace. She saw the threads of their lives, interwoven with the fate of Eldoria, their destinies forever linked. The past wasn't just a collection of dusty stories. It was alive, vibrant, and eternally connected to the present. The antique watch, once a simple heirloom, had become a symbol of her family's legacy, a key to unlocking the secrets of their past. And as Elara discovered, sometimes the greatest adventures are hidden within ourselves, waiting to be awakened by the echoes of time. She knew, with unwavering certainty, that her journey had just begun. For time, as she had learned, had a way of revealing all secrets,